I guess I understand that Extinction Rebellion doesn't have an official stance on psychedelics, but last year in 2019, I think you called for a kind of mass psychedelic civil disobedience, which I thought was a wonderful thing to suggest, given the absurdity that these things are illegal, right?
Yeah, I mean, given that two things, the science is really clear that they're really healing, and especially, with the boga and the psilocybin mushrooms, that microdosing has had really great efficacy around both addiction and depression, and things that PTSD and so on. Like, why on earth would they not be legal? And having them be legal would mean that we can have them be safer. I mean, it's sort of really, really obvious that the way they threaten this current status quo is the reason why they're not legalized. And it's not to say there's no dangers with psychedelics, but people are taking them anyway. So, like, it's better that we have some. So, if you wanted to take something, you could go to somebody who is regulated and had experience that you could trust. I mean, it took me a long time before I found a centre that I thought was the right one. I wanted one that both had a sort of medical stand, so there was a doctor in the room when I was taking Iboga who was taking my blood pressure every 20 minutes, and then there was a ceremony as well, so I wanted to make sure that both things were in place. So yeah, I mean, personally, I think there are people in the psychedelics communities that push back against doing massive disobedience, who think that it may be may have a bad effect, and there's always risks with any strategy. But I think I often wonder if people are really, really getting how far gone we are in terms of crisis. And I don't, to the extent you talk about climate and ecological crisis, I mean, the crisis in our so-called democracy and the path we're on towards authoritarianism, towards fascism, it's not something to be just hoping that this sort of long arm of progress is going to sort out. I think, again, I think it may be Schmachtenberger that talks like this. That you're in this like increasingly complex world where we've now got this madness of QAnon meta conspiracy theory going off, and people's trust in information and the ability to change things being deeply compromised, and capturing some people. Yeah, anyway, that mess, and the complexity of the world in general in terms of how things are produced and how we live. That degree of complexity, at least according to Daniel, goes in two directions. One, I think Daniel, I don't want to be misquoting him, but goes in the direction of absolute chaos and destruction and decay, or leaps up a level into a new manifestation of how people operate and organize. I mean, and quite possibly, presumably, both things can be happening at the same time. You could get the seeds of a new society and the destruction all around, and I don't know which one wins out. But I think it goes back to that other point around, Wetiko and indigenous cultures. This is not a time to sit on the fence, really, is it? It's a time to, I don't think anyway, I don't want to judge anybody's life, we'll do what we can, but it's a time to think why are you here now and what you're meant to be doing.